All right, here we go. We're starting chapter 12, and chapter 12 is all about getting our payroll ready. And payroll is the business getting ready to pay its employees. And so section 1, we got to figure out how much do our employees going to make. So each employee going to make. And there's two ways you can pay employees. Number 1, through salary. This example doesn't really touch on salary, but we'll have some salary later in the application problems and in chapter 13. So salary is, I'm going to pay my employees a flat rate, and typically you express this in terms of years, or like for the year. So if somebody's a salary employee, they might make $50,000 for the year. You typically don't express it per hour or per week, but you typically express it like how much money you make in a year. So some benefits of being salary. Typically, salaried employees make more money. It's consistent. You know exactly how much money you're going to make. So if you have a snow day, or if you miss a day or something like that, you're still going to make the same amount of money. And typically these are salaried positions are considered higher ranking positions within a company. So maybe a manager or some other person who's been there for a while. The drawback with salary is that if I have to stay late or come in early or work a weekend, I don't get paid for that. And sometimes, depending on where you work, that might be expected that you have to, maybe if I'm an accountant during tax season, I've got to work a lot of overtime because there's just a lot of work to do during tax season. Or if I'm a farmer, maybe I got to work a lot in the summertime during harvest time. And so there's some jobs where you might be salary, and some overtime is expected, but typically with salary, you're going to make a little bit more money. In this example, we're dealing with hourly employees. So, and we can see how much money each of these employees make per hour, and we want to figure out how much money they're going to make. So the first thing I want to do with salary employees is, or first thing I want to talk about is to be considered full-time. Like full-time work is 40 hours a week. So anything you work up to 40 hours a week is going to be your normal regular rate. Right there. Anything you work over 40 hours a week is overtime. And so you still get paid for that. Not only do you get paid for that, but you get 1.5 times that as well. So you get paid extra for working overtime. So let's figure out our regular time earning, and then we'll go to overtime. So employee 1 worked 40 hours, and we're going to take that multiplied times $9 per hour, and they made $360. And so we can just work our way down. So 40 hours times 12.5, and then 40 hours times 975, and then 40 times $11 an hour. And so we can figure out that's how much each of our employees made for their regular earnings. But you can see that 3 of the employees worked overtime, and so now we're going to pay them their regular rate. We're going to pay them extra because they had to work over 40 hours this week. So for overtime pay, I'm typically going to take my regular rate, and I'm going to multiply it times 1.5 times. So if I normally make $9 per hour, I'm going to multiply that times 1.5 times, so 1.5 times. And so not only am I making $9 an hour, now I'm going to make 9 times 1.5, which happens to be $13.50 an hour. So for every hour I work over 40 hours, I'm not making $9 an hour anymore. I'm now making $13.50 an hour. And so that's my incentive for working over 40 hours in a week. So to figure out overtime, I'm going to go equal 5, because it's how many hours overtime they worked, times the regular rate, and then times 1.5. And for overtime, I'm always going to have that 1.5. It doesn't matter how much the regular rate is, doesn't matter how many hours they have, that 1.5 is always going to be there because it's 1.5 times the regular rate. So you can see employee 1 made $67.50. And if we just work our way down, we can see 3 hours times $12.50 an hour times that 1.5, and then equal 0 hours times 975 times 1.5, 0, and then finally 2 hours times $11 times 1.5, and there we go. So we've got our regular earnings figured out. We've got our overtime hours. Now all we got to do is just simply add these up to figure out how much each of our employees made. So equal 360 plus 67.50, and then I can just use the fill handle to fill down. And so I can see how much each of my employees earned through this 1 week period. So this is really nice to figure out if you're to figure out how much maybe an employee is going to cost you, to figure out how much if you want to give an employee a raise, how much they're going to make. It's also handy for you as an employee. That way you can figure out how much money you're going to make in whatever job that you may have.